Every evening, the gates of the richest house in the city slowly opened. Inside that house lived a man whose wealth seemed endless. His robes were made of fine cloth dyed in deep purple, the color of royalty and power. His table was never empty. Servants filled his halls with food, music, and laughter. But just outside those gates, another life was unfolding. A man named Lazarus lay on the ground.
He was weak, hungry,
Covered in painful sores. He was not waiting for riches. He was hoping for crumbs. Every single day, the rich man walked past him. And every single day, he chose not to see him. But one night, both of their lives came to an end. And what happened next would reveal a truth no one in that city expected. The rich man's life was filled with comfort. Every morning servants prepared his meals before the sun had fully risen over the city. Fresh bread,
sweet fruits,
roasted meat seasoned with herbs and spices. His house echoed with music and conversation as guests arrived to enjoy the luxury he offered. The floors of his mansion were clean and polished. The walls were decorated with fine fabrics and beautiful lamps that glowed warmly at night. People in the city admired him. Some envied him. Others dreamed of living the kind of life he enjoyed every day. From the outside, it looked like a perfect life. But sometimes the greatest danger is not poverty. Sometimes the greatest danger is comfort. Because comfort can slowly close a person's heart to the suffering around them. Just outside the rich man's gate was another world entirely. Lazarus did not have servants. He did not have a home. His body was weak from hunger and sickness. Painful sores covered his skin, making even the smallest movement difficult. Some days he barely had the strength to sit upright. Yet every morning he dragged himself to the same place, the gate of the rich man's house. Not because he believed the rich man would suddenly share his wealth, but because hope is often the last thing a suffering person holds on to. Perhaps a servant might feel pity. Perhaps someone leaving the house might drop a piece of bread. Perhaps someone would finally notice him. But most days, no one stopped. The rich man saw Lazarus. At least in the beginning. It is difficult not to notice a starving man lying just outside your gate. But something strange happens when people see suffering too often. The first time, they feel compassion. The second time, they feel uncomfortable. But after many days, they begin to ignore it. Soon Lazarus became part of the scenery, like the stone walls, like the dusty road. Just another thing people walked past without thinking. Servants carried trays of food through the gate. Guests arrived laughing and talking. The rich man entered his house, surrounded by comfort. And Lazarus remained outside, waiting, hungry, forgotten. One evening, as the sun slowly disappeared behind the hills, Lazarus lay quietly outside the gate. His body was weaker than it had ever been. The hunger, the pain, the endless waiting. It had all taken its toll. The sounds of laughter from inside the mansion drifted into the street. But Lazarus no longer had the strength to listen. His breathing slowed. The world around him faded. And in that quiet moment, Lazarus died. The city barely noticed. No crowd gathered. No funeral was planned. But something extraordinary happened in that moment. Because heaven had noticed Lazarus all along. As Lazarus' life on earth ended, angels appeared. They lifted him gently from the place where he had suffered for so long. No more hunger, no more pain, no more loneliness. They carried him to a place of comfort, a place of peace, beside Abraham. For the first time in his life, Lazarus was no longer forgotten. He was welcomed, honored,
loved.
But at that very same time, another story was unfolding. Not long after Lazarus died, the rich man's life also came to an end. But this time the entire city noticed. Servants prepared a grand funeral. People gathered in large numbers. Voices filled the streets as the procession moved through the city. The rich man had lived in luxury, and he was buried with honor. But death is not always the end of the story. Sometimes it is the beginning of a much greater reality. The rich man opened his eyes expecting comfort, but instead he found himself surrounded by flames. Fear filled his heart. Pain surrounded him, and in the distance he saw something that shocked him. Far away, Lazarus rested in peace beside Abraham, the same man who once lay starving outside his gate. Everything had changed. The rich man who had once lived in luxury now begged for mercy. And Lazarus, who had once been ignored, was finally comforted. Jesus told this story to reveal something powerful. Life is not only about wealth, or comfort, or success. What truly matters is the condition of the heart. Every day we pass people who need compassion. Every day we have opportunities to show kindness, because the choices we make today can echo far beyond this life. And sometimes the smallest act of compassion can change a story forever.